Everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Learn Italian with Songs. Today we are going to talk about finally Sinceramente by Annalisa. Why am I saying finally? Because during the previous days we talked about the other chapters of this story. Because in fact, Sinceramente represents the third and last chapter of a story when we put together the other songs, when we put it together with the other songs by Annalisa, Bellissima and Mon Amour. Now, today I am going to limit test the only brain cell that's left in my brain because this song has something peculiar. Not only this is the third and last chapter of a story divided in 3 chapters. Not only this is part and a bit the conclusion, the conclusive chapter of E poi siamo finiti nel vortice, and then we ended up in the vortex, which is the 8th album by Annalisa. Not only this is the Annalisa's entry for Sanremo was Annalisa's entry for Sanremo 2024 that among many criticisms ended only in the 3rd place, but also this song had so much success that there are different versions of the songs, mainly considering languages. What am I meaning? I am meaning that we have the original in Italian. Then we have the Spanish version, okay, the Spanish version sung by Annalisa. And then we have a third version, which is a featuring between Annalisa singing half of the song in the original version, so in Italian, and half of the song sung in French by the artist Olivia Stone. So, why am I saying that I'm going to limit test my brain cell? Because it is relevant. The lyrics of the other 2 versions are relevant to the meaning of the song. Because despite the whole concept of the song being the same, the lines of each lyrics are different. Exception made for the French version where the parts in Italian are the same of the original version. But the French ones, the lines in French, are different. So, general concept, same. Nuances, different, and they can help us understand better certain parts of the song. Because while I was researching, as I usually do, for this song, I found out that many people were like, I don't really understand, not only from non-native Italian native speakers, but also I found many native Italian speakers quite confused, which makes sense because there is a lot of symbology and symbolism in this song. So, what is this song generally about? Quoting an interview to Annalisa made by Donna Moderna, the artist says, Sinceramente is a song about the freedom to be. In every manifestation, in every passage of life, in every state of mind. Free also to complain and be understood, rather than being judged or considered hysterical. It is a reflection born one night when I couldn't sleep, as often happens to me. And I had this urge to say, to tell. I felt the need to be understood, welcomed, listened to, without prejudice. And this is what the song is about. As I was saying, the lyrics doesn't matter the language, the whole concept of the lyric of the song is always the same. But the nuances are a little bit different and they add to the original lyrics, which in some portion is a bit, how can I say, obscure, we could say like that. So now let's go and limit test my brain cell. So per se, the structure of the song is quite classic. We have verse, chorus, post-chorus, verse, chorus, post-chorus, a bridge, a variation of the chorus, a variation of the post-chorus, and an outro, okay? Also, the video clip became quite popular. We are going to talk about it in the discussion. So, let's talk about the lyrics. I'll start with the translation of the Italian lyrics, and then we are going to analyze it according to the translation, or even better, the other versions. So, mi sveglio ed è passata solo un'ora. I wake up and only an hour has passed. Non mi addormenterò. I won't fall asleep. Ancora 8 lune nere e tu la nona. 8 more black moons and you the ninth. E forse me lo merito. And maybe I deserve it. La vuoi la verità? Do you want the truth? Ma quale verità? But what truth? Ti dico la sincera o quella più poetica? Do I tell you the sincere one or the more poetic one? Mi sento scossa. Ah. I feel shaken. Ah. Ma quanto male fa? But how much does it hurt? Come morire, like dying, ma non capita. But it doesn't happen. Now, let's go and check out the Spanish one. He dormido tan solo una hora. Y ya no aguanto más. Anche 8 lunas negras nunca me perdonan. Io me le merezco. Io me lo merezco. Generally, the idea is pretty much the same in Spanish, okay? So, same concept. I slept only 1 hour. And I won't take it anymore. So, same reasonment. I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I woke up. And I know I won't... I know I won't be able to fall asleep again because something is keeping me awake. And in the French version, this part is in Italian as well. This line about the black moons, it is basically the same in Spanish, because the only difference is that in Italian it says 8 more black moons and you the ninth, while in Spanish it says although 8 black moons never forgive me. Okay, the idea is the same. And once again, until here, the song in the French version is in Italian, but this first section has a change because we can also listen to the other artist. In fact, while in Italian we have e forse me lo merito, and maybe I deserve it. And in Spanish, we have yo me lo merezco, so, and I deserve it. In French, we have je n'ai pas mérité ça. I did not deserve these. So, what is the meaning of this first part? I woke up because I can't sleep because something is keeping me awake. I am troubled. And then we have this reference to the moons. Now, it's not clear what Annalisa meant when she mentioned these black moons, because it can be an astrological, an astronomical phenomenon, okay? Sometimes we have this phenomenon that is called the black moon. But in astrology, so we are talking about astrology things, the black moon has several meanings. Okay, generally the moon also in tarots has a very peculiar meaning related to our unconscious, what is like in our unconscious, in our dream world, something that is deep, something that is often related to femininity, okay? Because we usually have, at least in tarots, the sun and the moon, where the sun is masculinity and the moon is femininity. So might be also a choice due to this, because it is like a little bit a feminist hymn, according to some, this song. But it can also represent something negative. Because while the black moon is generally related to unconscious and the story of female emancipation, which is on point, it can also be a negative sign, or at least a warning sign concerning the fact that something bad is about to happen. So, we can have this double reading. These, the importance, highlighting the importance of female emancipation, but also the fact that I am in a period of my life where I had to go through several misfortunes, 8 black moons, also because the black moons are like every 33 months. So we are going to talk about years, okay? So it could also mean I went through several bad experiences, and you are the 9th. So you are just another bad experience. Or like you are just another bad period of my life because I had 8 of them. So, no, no, we are not talking about Expedition 33. And in fact, in Spanish, we also have this thing that we have these 8 black moons not forgiving me, so not letting me go. There's no rest for the wicked. And then, as I was saying, while in Italian and in Spanish, we have, and maybe I deserve it, and in Spanish, I deserve it. In French, we have, and I do not deserve it. So, we can either see this as the 3 points of view. So, the doubt, maybe I am doing something to deserve it. Then we have the Spanish, I am doing something to deserve it, like I am the cause of my own misfortune. And then we have the French, that is like the third part, which is I don't deserve it. Like, no matter what I do, I don't deserve to be treated like like shit. And all these 3 points of view are very important and very valid. And I would also say true at the same time. Because when we go through things, we can think about maybe I did something to deserve this, because otherwise I can't explain it. Also, the fact that we have some sort of ability to influence our life. So, and I deserve it because this is the consequence of my action. But also the fact that we need to escape, to leave behind us these bad relationship, because in the end the whole trilogy is about these toxic relationships. Okay, mainly one specifically that is mentioned in Bellissima. And so it is also about being aware. It's also about the awareness of the fact that we don't deserve to be treated like shit. And thus we have to stop it. And then we have the second part of the first verse. Si quieres la verdad, tan solo es la verdad. Te lo digo sincera, puede que poética. Porque me siento mal. Y sé que dolerá. Come morirme ya, anche non va a pasar. So basically in Spanish is pretty much the same concept, okay? Because yeah, it's saying if you want the truth, and just the truth, I can tell you, like I tell you sincerely, maybe poetically, then we have why do I feel like because I feel bad, and I know that it will hurt. It will be implied like dying, so just like in Italian. But although it's not going to happen, it's not happening. So the idea, of course, like the Spanish syntactical structure is a little bit different. So of course we have a bit of rephrasing, but the meaning is basically the same. But, and that's a big but, if we go and check the French version, because the second part of the first verse is completely in French, we have Dis-moi ce que tu attends de moi. De cet amour véritable, il y a plus. L'étincelle, l'étincelle. Pourtant, je sais que ça brûle au fond de moi. Je t'aimais tant que ça. Pourquoi ça fait si mal? C'est comme mourir un peu à petit feu. Now, I'm saying that in this case is different in French, because in French is tell me what you expect from me, and implied from this true love. There's no longer the spark, okay? Yet I feel it burning deep inside me. I love you that much. So, implied, why it hurts so bad? It's like dying a little. And then here we have a idiomatic expression, which would be in English on low heat. In Italian, it would be a fuoco lento, and it is an idiomatic expression that in this case means like a way of dying that it is going to take a lot of time and is going to be extremely painful. Okay. Once again, the idea, the base idea is the same, okay? But we have some more hints. So let's start from the beginning of the second part. The first line is pretty much the same because in Italian is "Do you want the truth?" Do you want the truth? In Spanish is "If you want the truth," pretty much the same concept. While in French is "Tell me, what do you want from me?" And then second line, "and from this love," as in from this relationship. And then while because in Italian and in Spanish we have "Do you want the truth? But what truth? Do you really want the truth?" Okay. In Italian and in Spanish, then we have "Do you want the honest one, the sincere one, or the poetic one?" So like the one with the sugar coated one. But in French we have "Tell me, what do you want from me and this relationship?" Because I know that our fire, like our relationship, the fire that keeps our relationship alive is gone. And yet it hurts me because here we have the metaphor between the sparkle and the spark and the fire hurting me, burning me. And in fact, this metaphor of the fire comes back at the end when she says it's like dying. Is like dying on low heat fire. Okay, so in agony, basically. Then we have the Italian. Then in this portion, the Italian, French, and Spanish are pretty much the same because in Italian is "I feel shaken," in Spanish is I feel bad, like I'm hurting, I feel sick. In French is a bit different because it says if I love you so much, why does it hurt? As in, love is not supposed to hurt. So why do I feel like shit? So the basic idea is the same. And then, like in all three languages, we have the idea of dying, like feeling like you are about to die, but then it doesn't happen. So you only keep the pain. So you have such, like, you hurt so much, you think you are going to die, but in the end you don't, and you just keep hurting in that way. So like excruciating pain. And that was the first verse. Then we have the chorus, which is like the catchy part. Sinceramente, quando piango, anche se sincerely, when I cry, anche se a volte mi nascondo, even though sometimes I hide, non mi sogno di tagliarmi le vene. I don't dream of cutting my veins. Sto tremando, I'm shaking, sto facendo un passo avanti e uno indietro, I'm taking one step forward and one step back, di nuovo sotto un treno, again under a train. E mi piace quando piango, and I like when I cry, anche se poi cadesse il mondo, and even if then the world were to fall apart, to collapse, non mi sogno di morire di sete, I don't dream of dying of thirst. Sto tremando, I'm shaking, sto lasciando dei chiari di luna indietro, I'm leaving some moonlights behind, e tu non sei leggero, and you are not light. Sinceramente, sincerely. Now, Here it is a bit long, so we go bit by bit. Let's start with the Spanish and this first portion of the chorus. So, in Spanish, it is pretty much the same. In French, even more because this part keeps being in Italian, so we don't have the French version here. In Spanish says, sinceramente, cuando lloro, ya ni siquiera me escondo, ya no sueño con que nada me frene. Which is a bit different, but the idea is pretty much the same. So, sinceramente, cuando lloro is the translation of the Italian, but in Spanish. Ya ni siquiera me escondo. Okay, in Italian would be even though sometimes I hide. In Spanish it would be I don't even hide anymore. The Italian is non mi sogno di tagliarmi le vene. In Spanish is ya no sueño con que nada me frene. Which, to translate is not quite easy, but the idea is basically I don't even dream of, like, I don't even think of something that could stop me, okay? That's why I'm saying that the meaning is the same also in Spanish, because in Italian non mi sogno di tagliarmi le vene. When in Italian we say non me lo sogno neanche, it means like I don't even think about it, like it's out of discussion, like no way. In fact, we also have the expression non sognartelo nemmeno, don't even think about it, okay? And in fact, like, the idea is, yeah, I feel like shit because of this shitty relationship, which is like the thread connecting the 3 chapters of the story. We have this toxic relationship, and yes, it feels like shit. It hurts a lot. I cry about it. I hide about it because I am ashamed, like because I feel bad and whatnot, whatever reason you want to think about. But despite all of these, I don't even think about ending my life. In this case, in Italy, we often use the metaphor of cutting your vein, so cutting your wrist. And in Spanish is like, I don't even think about something that could stop me. Like, I am not, I'm not going to stay here and cry about this pain. I am going to do something, maybe multitasking, crying and dancing, for example, or crying and fucking around like in Mon Amour. But I'm not going this thing to stop me. I won't let this thing to stop me. This is the idea. Then we have the second section of the chorus. Here we have both the Spanish and the French. In Spanish we have estoy temblando, siempre dando un paso adelante y otro incierto, un día no despierto. Which is pretty much like in Italian, because we have estoy temblando, is just like in Italian, sto tremando, I'm shaking. Then we have also in Spanish always taking a step forward and an uncertain one. So pretty much like we say in Italian, un passo avanti, uno indietro, and you don't go anywhere because one forward, one backward, you stay where you started. So same idea. Well, like little note, today I learned, like actually 2 days ago, I learned that alante, you shouldn't use it because technically is a colloquialism. So Annalisa can. We cannot. We can just quote Her Majesty. But the idea is has the same meaning of adelante. So basically, one forward, one backward. One step forward, one step back. And while in Italian we have di nuovo sotto un treno, again under a train, which is basically like saying to go in a better world, like to ending your living career. And instead, in Spanish, we have un día no despierto, which is and one day I don't wake up, which is same meaning, like while French is more sassy because our good featuring artist says je perds le tempo, je perds mes repères et juste à cause du mégalo, toute ma vie tombe à l'eau. Which is, while in Italian and in Spanish we're like, haha, I feel like shit, one step forward, one step back, I'm dying, woo! In French, it is more powerful because the artist says, I lose my time, like as in like I'm wasting my time. I am losing my bearing, and it is just because of a megalomaniac, because megalo is the abbreviation of megalomaniac. French really likes abbreviations. And then it ends with toute ma vie tombe à l'eau, which means all my life falls in the water, which is an idiomatic expression. We have something similar in Italian, which is fare un buco nell'acqua. So basically, I am wasting my life. All my life is ending up in nothingness, okay? Because, of course, the idea is that you cannot make holes in the water because the water is going back where it was. It is very hard, like you can make a hole in the terrain, it is very hard to make a hole in the water. Because the idea is that like I am wasting my time because of a megalomaniac, and because of this, I am wasting not only my time, but my whole goddamn life. So the French version is a little bit more spicy. Then we have the third section of the chorus, which references the first section, because we have this break in 4, where we have the first and the third matching, and then the second and the fourth section matching. And we have e mi piace quando piango, and in Spanish it is the same. Me gusta quando lloro. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Anche desaparezca el mundo, yo no sueño con morirme de sed. Which is pretty much like in Italian. In French, we don't even have any changes because this part in the French version is sung in Italian. In Spanish, it is pretty much the same concept because I like when I cry. And in Italian would be even if the world were to fall, literally. And in Italian, cadesse il mondo, it means like whatever happens, like the whole world could collapse. I don't give a shit. stress, depressed, lemon zest, always. But actually here, the Italian and the Spanish version, and thus also the French one, are saying, I like when I cry, but whatever happens, which in Italian is cadesse il mondo, so like even if the world were to fall, to collapse. And in Spanish, even if the world disappears, desaparezca, were to disappear, I don't even think, in Italian again, I don't even dream also in Spanish, to die of thirst, like to let myself die, to let go myself. Because the idea is always this duality between I feel like shit, but I'm not going to stop because of this. So yeah, like it's okay, like I'm crying, but I'm still dancing, I'm still doing things. I am not letting this pain and this shitty person and this shitty relationship to stop me. I'm not gonna let them. And then we have the fourth and last section of the chorus, which in Spanish is estoy temblando, estoy temblando, siempre dando un paso adelante y otro incierto. Sé que no eres sincero, sinceramente. And in French, we have je perds le tempo, like before. Moi, je t'aime trop, different. J'étais dans la peau et au point de maigrir jusqu'aux os. Je vois pas ce que je peux faire d'autre. Now, first line, Spanish and Italian, same thing. I'm shaking because I'm feeling like shit. In French, again, I am wasting my time because, implied, I love you too much, considering what you would deserve for how you are behaving. In Italian, here changes because the start is the same, but the second line changes. Sto lasciando dei chiari di luna indietro. I'm leaving some moonlights behind. Again, this idea of the moon that we also met in the first verse. While in Spanish we have the same line we found before, siempre dando un paso adelante y otro incierto. And you might think, but what is this moonlights like? Weird. And in my opinion, French here is much more clear and straight to the point. Because in French, she says, j'étais dans la peau, I have you in my skin, et au point de maigrir jusqu'aux os. At the point, I want to scratch myself to the bones. Which gives much more the idea. Because sto lasciando dei chiari di luna indietro probably means I'm wasting my nights. Because il chiaro di luna, the moonlight, probably hints at the fact that she can't sleep. Thing that she mentioned at the beginning, if you remember, because she says, I can't sleep. Why can't she sleep? Because she's feeling bad because this relationship is eating her alive, okay? But this idea of being eaten alive by a toxic relationship is really well put in French, where she says, I feel you in my skin, and this hurts so much that I am going to scratch my skin and like go through my flesh until I reach the bone. Also to give the idea of the excruciating pain she's going through. So French version, 10 out of 10. Also, you have no clue how many brain cells I had to lose, because if you go and listen to the French version, she sings fast. And French is my third language. And no, if you look on the internet, the transcription of the French part is not the best, and some parts are missing, and I had to add them. So many brain cells died for this. And then she says, e tu non sei leggero, and you are not light. Okay. A bit weird phrasing. Because you might ask me, but Silvia, is non sei leggero an idiomatic expression in Italian? And I would be like, not really. But here we have the Spanish helping us, because the Spanish says, sé que no eres sincero. Which means, I know you are not honest. You're not being honest. So probably, that's my guess, in Italian, what she's using is what is called una litote, which is a rhetorical figure that you use to express a concept by using its opposite. For example, I want to say that someone is rich. So someone comes to me and asks me, but is this person wealthy? And I'm saying, well, let's just say he's not poor. So instead of saying he's rich, I'm saying he's not poor. It became very famous with Alessandro Manzoni, because in Nei Promessi Sposi, in the Betrothed, I guess it's the English translation, there is one of the most famous litote in the whole Italian literature, which is Non era un cuor di leone, referring to Don Abbondio, to say that this character is incredibly coward. Now, when we use this rhetorical figure, we are usually being ironic and underplaying the point. So if we think about the opposite, so tu non sei leggero, what are you? Pesante, heavy. In this case, makes sense, because telling someone sei pesante, you are heavy, in Italian doesn't mean the same as it means in English. It means you are unbearable, because you are boring, because you are annoying, because you are just not pleasant at all. Why? Because pesante da sopportare. You are like a heavy burden to carry. This is the point. So in this case, like, you are not being honest, so probably you are cheating on me, you are lying and whatnot. So I can't stand you anymore. While for once in French, here it is a little bit different, because she says, je vois pas ce que je peux faire d'autre. I don't know what else I can do. Which adds to the general meaning, because again, in French, if you look at it only for the French part, so when she says, je perds le tempo, moi je t'aime trop, j'étais dans la peau et au point de mes griffes et jusqu'aux os, je vois pas ce que je peux faire d'autre, because basically she's saying, I'm wasting my time because I love you too much, and because I love you too much, I can't let you go. I feel you in my skin and I want to scratch away until I reach my bone. So like I am in excruciating pain. I can't stand you anymore, but I still love you. and I really don't know what to do. So while the Italian and Spanish are about, oh my god, I can't stand you anymore, sincerely, fuck off. This is what is implied. Because the whole song is a letter, and that's why it is called Sinceramente, to someone before you tell them to fuck off. This is a letter where we are slaying and we are telling that bad bitch to fuck off because we can't stand them anymore. This is the point of the song. And here the meaning is a little bit different in this section, but pretty much same point. And then we have the post-chorus, which is the catchy part where everyone is dancing, because let's remember, all these songs, Bellissima, Mon Amour, and Sinceramente, are meant to, like, the goal of these songs is to give you a song on which you can dance while crying about your shitty ex. But you can cry and you can dance. Multitasking. And in fact, in Italian it is sinceramente, sinceramente, sinceramente tua. Sincerely, sincerely, sincerely yours. In the French version, this part is kept the same, while in Spanish is simply translated sinceramente, sinceramente, sinceramente tuya. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Why? Because sinceramente tua is a very common way to sign letters, like not much nowadays, since due to technology we are not sending that many letters nowadays. In mails, usually you sign yourself as cordialmente, name and last name. Sinceramente is something you do for people you love. It's like when in English you sign with love, yours. But in this case is not con amore, with love, it is sinceramente, because the whole song is me being honest and writing to you how shitty you make me feel. And that's why I'm saying goodbye. And then we have the second verse. Solo tu, only you, tu spegni sigarette su velluto blu. You pour out cigarettes on blue velvet. Mi lasci sprofondare prima. You let me sink first. E dopo su. And then up, as in you bring me up. Appena mi riprendo, as soon as I recover, ti lascio un messaggio. I leave you a message. Adesso. Now. And here we have clearly the explanation that what the whole point of the song is our protagonist and narrator and artist leaving this message where she is writing open heart, like wholeheartedly, everything she thinks about this person before a final farewell. Now, let's see the Spanish. Solo tú, que siempre te entrometes dejándome azul. Te pones siempre por encima y después de sí. Yo me recupero, te lanzo un mensaje, un beso. So, basically, solo tú, only you, just like in Italian, que siempre te entrometes dejándome azul. Here it is a little bit different because you who always interfere, leaving me blue, as in sad. Te pones siempre por encima. You always put yourself first, while in Italian is you let me think first. Y después sí. And then yes. Because while in Italian and in French, we're going to see it in a moment, you have this connection, mi lasci sprofondare prima e dopo su. In Spanish, the song is divided in other section because it is te pones siempre por encima. So you always put yourself first. And then another line. Y después sí, yo me recupero, te lazo un mensaje, un beso. Where basically she says, and then yes, I'm recovering, like I'm going to get well, and then I'm gonna leave you a message, a kiss, un beso, which is also used in Italian, un bacio, like so, kiss kiss. So there is this difference in Spanish. Let's see the French, because this whole verse 2 is in French. Y'a que toi qui écrase des cigarettes sur mon cœur fait de soie. Laisse-moi sombrer là et revenir jusqu'à toi. Quand j'ôterai mes bandages, je quitterai ton sillage et je sache que, where she basically says, and again, even in French, we have a little bit different structure because we have, there's only you. Like, there's nobody but you. Who crushes cigarettes on my heart made of silk. So in French, it is even more clear than Italian and Spanish. Spanish was quite clear. In Italian, not really. In fact, I am going to explain it a little bit more in a moment. You let me think, where it is very similar to Italian, because in Italian is you let me think first, so mi lasci sprofondare. But in French, laisse-moi sombrer là, you leave me think, where think is going deep down in the depths. So it is this idea of sinking in the depths of the water. But in French, etymologically speaking, it also implies that I'm losing the light and I am going to get eaten and taken by darkness. So, if we really want to be specific, in French gives much better the idea. Et revenir jusqu'à toi, and then come back to you, which is the same concept of Italian. In Spanish, in the Spanish version, we don't really have this metaphor of the roller coaster of emotion, which is very typical of unhealthy relationships, because you have someone treating you like shit and then coming back and like apologizing and treating you well, because this pattern gives you dopamine and it kinda replicates in your brain an effect that is very similar to drugs, because this roller coaster of emotions, so being treated very badly and then very well, generates in your brain chemical processes that are similar to drugs or like the absorption of like generally unhealthy substances or practices generating unhealthy dosages of dopamine in your brain. So what happens is that you become addicted to these patterns, like literally speaking, because you get the rushes of dopamine given by the instability of the relationship. In the Spanish version, we don't really have this thing, while we have it in Italian and the French one. Because in Italian we have you let me sink and then up, so you drag me down and then you pull me up. While in French we have laisse-moi sombrer là et revenir jusqu'à toi. Donc, so you let me sink and then you get me back to you. While in Spanish, it is just like you always put yourself first, and then we have the start of the new sentence. And then we have in Italian, as soon as I recover, I leave you a message now. So, like, the whole point of the song. In Spanish, pretty much the same. And then, yes, I'm going to recover and I'm going to leave you a message, a kiss, like kiss, kiss, bye. In French, we have when I will take off my bandages, so when I will be healed, which is a metaphor even more on point, if I may, than Italian and Spanish, because in Spanish and in Italian, it's just like, when I'll be well once again, when I'll be recovered, while in French we really have this idea of the bandages, and even more effect because she says je quitterai ton sillage. When I'll take off my bandages, I will leave your wake. Which is very funny because in Italian we have a way of saying, an idiom, which is starti dietro, like stare dietro a qualcuno, which literally means to stay behind someone, on their wake, on their trail. And it is usually used in a context where non voglio più starti dietro, non posso più starti dietro, meaning that we are not going to take any more shit. Pretty much that's the meaning. And then while in Italian we have adesso, so like now. In Spanish we have kiss kiss. In French we have et je sache que. And I know that. And then connects to what is said in the chorus, which is the same. Now, as I promised, I'll give a moment to this line, which is you put out cigarettes on blue velvet, which is like weird. Because in Spanish it's quite evident que siempre te entrometes dejándome azul, which is like you always makes me sad, long story short. In French is even more explicit because toi qui écrases des cigarettes sous mon corps fait de soie, you who are putting out cigarettes on my heart made of silk. This French version explains so much better the idea behind the Italian line. Because what mainly the Italian and the French one, a little bit more or less the Spanish one, because in the Spanish one we lose the metaphor, but the idea of putting out cigarettes on velvet or silk, it is a very good metaphor to convey the idea of ruining something extremely precious. Both velvet and silk are very expensive and delicate tissues. Patterns? Tissues? Doesn't come to mind the term right now. But anyway, materials, very expensive, luxurious, but also very delicate because they are easily ruined. Now, imagine like the image here, the metaphor is putting down a cigarette on something so incredibly beautiful, delicate, and precious, which is materials, yeah. The materials, which is like unthinkable because like imagine like having these beautiful velvet curtains or I don't know the incredibly beautiful and precious not blankets the things you put on the bed. The problem of polyglottism, I am getting this term in 3 languages and none of them is the one I need right now. It's not the laundry. It's le lenzuola. Voglio dire le lenzuola. Anyway, the covers of the bed because like right now brain is not braining. Which are like when they are made in silk, they are considered among the most precious. Imagine someone coming and putting down their cigarette on this material, like come minimo gli stacchi la testa, no? So like it is unthinkable, and that's the idea behind this metaphor, ruining in a very vulgar and stupid way something extremely delicate, beautiful, and priceless and precious. Okay. And then we have the chorus, which is exactly like before. Sinceramente, quando piango, anche se a volte mi nascondo, non mi sogno di tagliarmi le vene. Sincerely, when I cry, even though sometimes I hide, I don't dream of cutting my veins. Sto tremando, sto facendo un passo avanti e uno indietro. I'm taking one step forward and one step back. Di nuovo sotto un treno. Again under a train. E mi piace quando piango, anche se poi cadesse il mondo, non mi sogno di morire di sete. And I like when I cry, and even if the world were to collapse, I don't dream of dying of thirst. Sto tremando, sto lasciando dei chiari di luna indietro e tu non sei leggero, sinceramente. I'm shaking, I'm leaving some moonlights behind and you are not light, sincerely. Then again, the post-chorus, once again, is the same. Sinceramente, sinceramente, sinceramente tua. Sincerely, sincerely, sincerely yours. I need to drink because my voice, just like my brain cells, is going away. And then we have the bridge. Ma sono solo parole. But they are just words. E dopo il vuoto. And after the void. Sono bagliori. They are flashes. Non è oro. It's not gold. Now, let's see the Spanish. Pero las palabras son del viento. Y los destellos no son de oro. The French one, we didn't have it because this part is sung in Italian, so with the original version. And here we have a slight difference. So, in Italian Annalisa sings, but they are just words, and then, and after, the void. Pretty much the same concept in Spanish, because in Spanish is, but the words are off the wind, from the wind, literally. This is quite clear for us Italian, probably not for English speakers, because in Italian we have a idiomatic expression that at this point I guess we share with Spain, with Spanish generally speaking, which is parole al vento, words to the wind, which means words wasted. So, like, when you're trying to speak to someone, they're clearly not listening. So, the idea is that is like giving your words to the wind, which takes them away and they become useless. So, it is pretty much like saying wasted breath. Because now here it's not clear. Probably we have the double meaning. Words to the wind. Exactly. And here probably we have a double meaning. It could be, despite everything I say, then I never act after them. So even if I talk, in the end, I'm always ending up in the same situation, because I'm not doing anything, I'm not acting. But even better, it could be also a way to say the reason why I am not accepting your apologies this time is because every nice word you tell me ends up being wasted breath. Yeah, more than giving unrealistic promises, it can be, but here is more like wasted breath in useless discussions. But yeah, also like a promise that we know is not going to be fulfilled. Okay, like I can trust you. Long story short. And then we have the second part of the bridge. Sono bagliori, non è oro. Y los destellos no son de oro. Which is exactly, it is basically the same. They are flashes, it's not gold. What? Once again, what you say, your promises, your apologies. It is just a good way, a good idiom we have in Italian is tutto fumo, niente arrosto. All smoke, no meat. Okay? Because you yap and yap and yap, but then you don't do anything to match all the yapping you did. Okay? And then we have a variation of the chorus. Sinceramente quando piango, anche se a volte mi nascondo, non mi sogno di tagliarmi le vene. Sincerely when I cry, even though sometimes I hide, I don't dream of cutting my veins. Sto tremando, sto facendo un passo avanti e uno indietro, di nuovo sotto un treno, sinceramente. I'm shaking, I'm taking one step forward and one step back, again under a train, sincerely. And it is a variation because it is a cut form version of the chorus, because as we said, the chorus usually in this song is divided in 4 sections. Here we have only 2. And then we have a variation of the post-chorus. Instead of sinceramente, sinceramente, sinceramente tua, in Italian becomes, and also in Spanish, sinceramente tua, sinceramente tua, sinceramente tua. Which in Spanish simply become sinceramente tuya, sinceramente tuya, sinceramente tuya, which is always sincerely yours. But, and that's a big but, in French, it becomes, for the first time, dis-moi je t'aime sans coupa, which means tell me I love you without dirty tricks. So, without lying, without having without second guessing it, without like contradicting yourself and your words 5 seconds after you said it and whatnot. Which the French version works very well also in Italian because just like in French you say Cuba, in Italian you say colpo basso, which fun fact works also in English because it is exactly low blow. So tell me I love you without betraying my trust. Pretty much that's the concept. And then we have the outro, the final climax. E non hai mai capito, and you never understood, quando, quando mi sento male, when I feel bad, when I feel sick. Quando, when, sai già che è tanto, you know that it's already a lot, se ti mando, if I send you, solo un messaggio, 2 parole, only a message, 2 words. C'è scritto sul finale, it's written at the end, sinceramente tua, sincerely yours. Now, let's see how we doing with the other languages. Now, the first part in Italian is e non hai mai capito quando mi sento male. And you never understood quando I feel bad, when I feel sick, because you hurt me. In Spanish we have y nunca me entendiste cuando me siento mal. Exactly like in Italian. In French, we have a mix between French and Italian. Et tu ne m'as jamais compris quando quand j'étais mal dans mon pot. Which is a little bit more poetic, probably because it's French. Because in French, this very same sentence that we have in Italian and Spanish, so you never understood when I feel bad, when I feel sick, in French becomes and you never understood when I felt sick in my own skin, which is much more harsh if you think about it, because not only you made me feel sick, not only you hurt me, you made me feel like I didn't belong to my own skin. This is how much you made me feel wrong. And let me tell you, it hits at a different level than the Italian and Spanish version, if I may. Then we have all of these, so, and you never understood how much, you never understood when I feel bad, when I feel sick. When you know it's already a lot, like you know that I am given all of this, you know it's a lot when I send you one last message. And in Spanish is cuando no es para tanto, si te mando solo un mensaje, 2 palabras. Y escrito and sul final, sinceramente tuya. Pretty much the same, because when it's not that bad, so like you shouldn't complain, which is exactly the same point of sai che già tanto in Italian. And the rest is the same, because if I send you only one message, 2 words, it's written at the end, sincerely yours. So in Spanish it is exactly like in Italian. French, after we had this first section, in French we have again a mix between Italian and French, because sai già che tanto se ti mando, it's already a lot, I'm already making an effort that you don't deserve. If I send you un dernier mot avant de m'en aller. A last word before leaving. Because in this case, it is more explicit in French, because in French is I am already making an effort, leaving you one last word, actually two, like in French and in Italian, like in Spanish and in Italian, before going, before leaving, at the end, sincerely yours. And at this point, it is made clear that the whole song is a long-ass letter with which our protagonist is leaving the toxic person relationship and everything connected. And that was the lyrics of the three versions in 3 different languages of Sinceramente by Annalisa. And I believe I deserve a reward for that, because, guys, there are no brain cells left. Let me tell you. It's empty. Everything went away. Everything is gone. Even my voice. Nothing's left. Thank you, Gassa. So, if you have any complaint concerning any of the accents of the 4 languages I spoke in this stream, guys, whatever. The only thing I can say is like, e fatelo voi allora. Anyway, so the song, the ending, the alpha to the omega, but even most importantly, the gossip. So, the problem, first of all, last year, 2024, as you might know, Annalisa did not, in fact, won the Sanremo 2024, because was won by Angelina Mango, which makes sense. Okay. Now, my humble opinion. This song, Sinceramente, taken with the other 2 songs, okay, so Bellissima and Mon Amour, plus the whole context of the album, plus the versions in the other languages, it is amazing. Like, it is incredible. It is incredibly beautiful. It does whatever it was supposed to do. It has very beautiful lyrics. I can tell after understanding perfectly, analyzing them in three different languages. But there is a big but. In my opinion, it is correct that La Noia by Angelina Mango won, because to be fully appreciated, the songs needs the other two parts, the context of the album, and the other versions in the other languages. If you bring a song on the scene of Sanremo Music Festival, the song needs to convey the point by itself. Yes, taken in the contest is amazing, this song. It is great. But standing alone doesn't have, loses a lot. This is a song that gives you a lot if you know the whole context, if you buy all the DLCs. But standing alone, it is a good song, absolutely. But La Noia is better taken alone. Should have been at least on this, again, it is also true that we had also Mahmood and Gali in that edition, so giving a second place, lyrics wise, with all the love I have for Joliet, no. Sinceramente is better. Sinceramente. But probably not even second place, because if you take again Casa Mia by Gali or Tuta Gold by Mahmood, and you take them by themselves, the songs by themselves work better. Sinceramente works amazingly if you know everything behind, but it is not that immediate. That said, if you know everything around it, it is great. In fact, I completely do not agree with all those people who said, Annalisa is making all the songs are all just the same. All the songs are the same. They are so banal. There is no point in bringing them because because it's always the same song. It's always the same love songs with the catchy tune. It's just all summer hits. No. There is a difference between being banal and repetitive and having a theme. Personally, I think that Annalisa had a theme. Annalisa had a concept. The concept is coherent throughout the tracks of the album, and rightfully so. This is not being banal. This is not being repetitive. This is called being coherent. Personal opinion. Now, what else to add? I think I said pretty much everything, because I talked a lot during the lyrics, because to be fair, there was a lot to say concerning the lyrics. Anyway, this was my humble opinion and the analysis of Sinceramente by Annalisa. We are going to keep talking about Annalisa because she is one of our bravissime and bellissime. But unless you want me to analyze other songs from E poi siamo finiti nel vortice, the 8th album by Annalisa, where also bellissima, Mon Amore and Sinceramente belong, I'd say that I'm done. Today was a great limit test of the last brain cell that was left to me. You can let me know in the comment section what you think about the song. I would really appreciate it. Of course, you can ask me for songs to analyze. I'm always happy to receive some requests. That said, grazie everyone for watching and arrivederci.